Welcome everyone to Lingua Latīna tutorials with Mr. K, Pensum D. This video explains the new grammar and syntax found in Chapter 15 of the Lingua Latīna per se Illustrāta series. It's meant to accompany the Latina Disco text available from Focus Bookstore and the Pensum D worksheets available from 50%latin.blogspot.com or christianlanguage.com. Let's get right into the text and see the new grammar and syntax for this chapter. The first feature I want to point out in this chapter is in lines 20 and 21. So we'll go to the second page of text, and here we see Magister interrogat curtus solus es sexte. Ego solus sum quod ceteri discipuli omnes absunt respondet sextus. So what we have here in this chapter, we have verbs in persons other than the third person singular and the third person plural. We have here an example of where we have the teacher asks, "Why are you alone, Sextus?" So the teacher directly addressing Sextus uses the second person singular of the verb sum. So here we have es, you are. The next line uses ego sum, I am. So here we have the first person singular of the verb sum. So if we were going to now conjugate all the forms of sum in the present active indicative, we would get sum, es, est, sumus, estis, sunt. And the pronouns that would go with those, we have ego sum, tu, es, is, ea, id, est, and then nos sumus, vos estis, and ei, sunt. The next feature that I want to point out is in line 23. And we have the teacher exclaiming, "O discipulos improbos." Here we have masculine accusative plural for discipulo, from discipulus, discipulos improbos. And the reason we have accusative is this is called the accusative of exclamation. Oh, and then followed by the accusative to show what is being exclaimed. Just one of those specially named case structures. So the next feature is in line 37. And here we have Magister says, "Quid sextus librum suum habet, tu librum tuum non habes." So we see here that earlier we had ego sum and tu es. And we see here in this line, tu non habes, you don't have, right? Sextus has his book, you don't have your book, tu non habes, cur librum non habes, why don't you have your book? But notice here we had tu habes, no, with the personal pronoun tu, you, and the second line we don't have tu, we have just habes. The ending itself, the endings, the personal endings o, s, t, mus, tis, and t can be used without prepositions. Without pronouns like ego, tu, and is, ea, id. The ending itself communicates the personal pronoun that it goes with. So when do you use it? You use the personal pronouns when you want to emphasize the person. So here, you, focusing on the idea that, in contrast to Sextus, you don't have your book. Okay. The next feature I want to point out is in line 51. So let's go here and we see Marcus ad sextum et titum. Vos Januam non pulsatis cum ad ludum venitis, nec magistrum salutatis cum eum videtis. So you guys don't knock on the door when you come to school, nor do you greet the teacher when you see him. So here we have another example, a new person of the verb. Here we have with non pulsatis, vos pulsatis, plural, second person plural, you guys don't knock on the door. And the endings, so what personal pronoun is associated with pulsatis? It's vos, you guys. If we were going to look this up in the dictionary, pulsatis, of course we're not going to find pulsatis, that's the second person plural ending on there. What we're going to find it under is pulsare, meaning to hit. So it's going to be, it's a first conjugation verb. The four conjugations of verbs are identified by their infinitives. Ara, A-R-E, era, long E-R-E, era, short E-R-E, and era, long I-R-E verbs. So ara, era, era. Those are the four conjugations. Those are families of verbs, just like there are 5 declensions of nouns, 5 families of nouns. We have 4 families of verbs. So if we were going to fully conjugate this verb, pulsare, it would be pulso, pulsas, pulsat, pulsamus, pulsatis, pulsant. And if we were going to give the meanings of that, that would be I hit, you hit, he, she, it hits, we hit, you all hit, they hit. The next verb that I want to point out is in line 53, and that is where we have the question, auditisne id quod dico? Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear that which I am saying? We have dico here, I speak or I say. If we were going to put the personal pronoun with this, we would have ego dico, I, if we're focusing on I say. The infinitive of dico, so the way you look this up in the dictionary, you would find it under dicere with a short e, dicere. So it's a third conjugation verb. Remember the endings of the infinitive, ara, era, era, dicere, third conjugation. And then if we were going to conjugate this verb fully, it would conjugate like this: dico, dicis, dicit, dicimus, dicatis, dicunt. And just like pulso, it would translate with the same personal pronouns. I say, you say, he, she, it says, we say, you all say, they say. The next verb I want to point out is in line 55, and that is where we have nos ianuam pulsamus, cum ad ludum venimus, et magistrum salutamus, cum eum videmus. So we knock on the door when we come to school, and we greet the teacher when we see him. So we have venimus, which means we come. The infinitive of venimus would be venire with a long I, R-E. Remember the 4 conjugations, ara, era, era. So this is the 4th conjugation. And it would conjugate like this: venio, venis, venit, venimus, venitis, veniunt. The next verb I want to point out is in this same line. We've already seen pulso, but here we have it in a different person and number. Nos ianuam pulsamus. We knock on the door. The person and number of pulsamus is first person, plural. Nos pulsamus, we knock. Notice that there are 3 persons in Latin, first, second, and third person, and there is, but they show up in the singular and plural. So singular pronouns for these verbs would be ego, tu, is, ea, id. The plural, first, second, and third, would be nos, vos, e, I, a. So nos pulsamos, we hit, or we knock. So the all the personal pronouns associated with all the persons, a quick review would be ego, tu, is, ea, id, corresponding to you, he, she, it. And then nos, vos, e, I, a, corresponding to we, you all, and they. The next feature I want to point out is in line 72. And in 72, we see the line non consido quod sedere non possum. I'm not sitting down because I'm not able to sit down. Diodorus, cur sedere non potes. Why aren't you able to sit down? So, and then the next line, we also have sedere non possum. I'm not able to sit down because, and then he starts to talk about what's hurting him. And so we have possum, potes, possum, potes, and then possum again. Possum being I am able. So notice that it has sum on the end of it, and it is first person singular, ego possum. And then we have here potes, it would correspond to tu potes, you are able. And the third person is in the margin, potest, he is able, is ea id, potest. If we were going to conjugate this fully, we would have possum, potes, potest, possumus, potestis, possunt, and you'll see that full conjugation at the end of this chapter. Line 82, or 81 and 82, we see the sentence, Quintus dicit se aegrum esse. Quintus says that he is sick. Here we have an example of the infinitive, the accusative infinitive construction after a verb of saying or feeling or thinking. And so say is the way that you would say he as in your accusative infinitive construction. So Quintus says that he is sick. It's just taking ego eiger sum, I am sick, and turning it into indirect speech. In line 85, we see the next feature, the next Duke grammar concept. Titus says, Marcus meum librum habet. Marcus has my book. So here I want to do a quick review of all the features of a verb. So the 5 characteristics of a verb are person, number, tense, mood, voice. Person, number, tense, mood, and voice. So the 5 characteristics of habet, if we were going to identify its person, number, tense, mood, and voice, we would have the person, third person. It's a he, she, it person. Marcus has, third person singular. Singular is the number. So person and number, third person singular. The tense, we've only learned for these regular verbs the present tense. We did learn erat and erant for sum. So we know some imperfect verbs, but right now for regular verbs with ost, mustus, nt on the end, we know present. So third person singular, present. It is active, meaning that Marcus is the one doing the action. Marcus has. If this were passive, it would be Marcus is had. There isn't a passive form for habet here in Latin. And then the last feature is the mood. So tense, mood, and voice. So voice is active. The mood, we have learned indicative and imperative moods. So indicative is just a way of saying things the way they happen. Imperatives are commanding. And then also we did learn the infinitive, just showing, we translate it as to do something. So here the infinitive would be habera, to have. Here we have he has. This is just indicating a fact, so it's indicative. So the full 5 characteristics of habet would be third person, singular, present, active, indicative. So now you've seen examples of verbs from all 4 conjugations, era verbs. From the first conjugation we had pulsara, to hit or to knock. The second conjugation we have habera, to have, H-A-B, long E-R-E. The third conjugation we have dukara, to lead, or actually we had dikara, to say, and then the fourth conjugation we had venira, to come. In line 86, we have another new feature, where Diodorus says, quid tu librum titi habes, Marque? So, why do you have Titus's book, Marcus? Actually, this is a review of the second person singular for the verb. So, what is the person and number of habes? It is second person singular with two here. You have. In line 87, we have another person of habes. Marcus says, ego eius librum habeo, I have his book. Ego habeo, first person singular. And if we were going to conjugate fully habeo, we would have habeo, habes, habet, habemus, habetus, habent. I have, you have, he, she, it has, we have, you all have, they have. The next new feature, the next feature I want to point out is in line 116, and that is this verb licet. We have in lectulo dormire licet. Hic in ludo non licet dormire. And it's all right to sleep in your little bed. Here at school, it is not all right to sleep. So licet is what we call an impersonal verb. Why impersonal? Because it has no person, meaning it doesn't have personal pronouns with it. You don't have, it means it is right or it is all right for this to happen. We don't have likeo, for example. I am all right. Or likes, you are all right. Or we don't have likemus, we are all right. You only have this in the third person singular form, licet. It is all right to do these things. And so we call it impersonal. It's a special kind of a verb. The next feature I want to point out is in line 119, and that is here where the discipuli say, hey, ouch, ouch, quid nos verberas, magister? Why are you spanking us, teacher? And when we get to nos here, it is, what is the case of nos? It is accusative for object of verberas. Why are you beating or spanking us, the object of the beating? And notice in the margin that tells you that it is the same as the nominative. So nos is how you would look this up in the dictionary. Unlike ego, which the accusative is me, so you'll see me, why are you hitting me? Why are you hitting me? But if it were I am hitting, you have ego verbero. Here we have the same nos for the nominative and the accusative. The same thing in the next line where you see Diodorus say, vos verbero, I am spanking, or I am beating you guys. I am beating you because I'm able to wake you up in no other way. We have vos as an object, direct object, accusative, in both of these situations. And you would look this up under the same form because the nominative form is also the same. So, vos verbero, I am beating you guys. You'd also could have vos verberatis, you guys are beating. Yeah, and then you could have somebody else they're beating. Okay, so those are all of the new features, the new grammar and syntax features of chapter number 15.